It's been reported that 19 illegal migrants have been placed under surveillance. Darren, what do you think about this?
Look, Jess, I always, whenever stories like this come about, hark back to what happened in 2017, right? And actually, I knew one of the people that was killed in the Manchester arena bombing, who was potentially one of the funniest people that I had ever encountered on Twitter. You know, we all have our sort of online communities, and he was absolutely hilarious and a light to the world. But, you know, he was amongst 22 people that were killed by an Islamist extremist at the Manchester arena after an Ariana Grande concert. Now, over 1,000 people were actually injured in that attack, and many, of course, still live with the scars of the psychological trauma of that event. Now, at that time, the security services were watching this individual. He was on their radar. He still managed to do this. So I personally think that we should be alarmed about the fact that 19 people who have entered our country illegally, 19 that the security services actually know of, by the way, it could, of course, be more. The security services have said, well, reportedly, we've identified 19 people with links to terrorist groups who may have sympathies with ISIS, who may have sympathies with, you know, installing some form of caliphate throughout the West and all the rest of it. And you think about the beautiful little girl in that Manchester arena attack who lost her life at 8 years of age. 8 years old, Jess. And I get deeply worried about it. We offered sanctuary to that bomber's father, his family, to come here after his father had opposed Gaddafi, and that's Colonel Gaddafi, and came here, and we said, all right, we'll offer you sanctuary. And his son goes on to do something like that, to become a child killing psychopath. There are pictures of him on social media with rocket launchers. I mean, you would think, Jess, that anyone viewing that would be like, maybe we shouldn't have this person in Britain, just maybe. But we've got people like that potentially coming here right now as we speak. So I think we should be deeply troubled about it. And fundamentally, I think that we should acknowledge the fact that the security services cannot possibly monitor, one, the homegrown threats that we face in this country already, and two, each of the arrivals coming here. Because let's not forget, the predicted numbers are 45,000 last year, supposed to go up to 80,000 this year. How on earth can we monitor each of these people if only, you know, let's say 100 of them mean to do us harm? That's still 100 too many, in my opinion.
Yeah, the lefty lawyers always like to talk about human rights, but I don't seem to
Yeah,
consider they don't seem to consider the human rights of the people in this country. That seems to be so ignored and dismissed.
well, totally right. Yeah. And I mean, alarm bells should be ringing, right? Because, I mean, if the British intelligence can't actually prevent a bombing of an Ariana Grande concert in which this psychopath had loaded a shrapnel laden bomb and of course hoped to kill young children because it's Ariana Grande. Of course, she has a young audience. You know, the idea that we are importing more fundamentalist scumbags like this one, I think, of course, it's okay to be worried about it. I mean, I'll probably receive howls from the likes of Gary Lineker, you know, who, of course, says this sort of rhetoric is tantamount to Nazism in the 1930s. And Suella Braverman receives attack after attack from the kind of lefty lawyers that you speak about, Jess. But it goes back to that fundamental point. We are a soft touch nation because of the fact that we cannot deport people, thanks in part to human rights legislation. And I don't know about you, Jess, but I couldn't give a flying fig about respecting the human rights of foreign nationals illegally arriving here with links to a medieval death cult being the Islamic State, right? The protection of the British people should be at the foremost, at the very front of the minds of our parliamentarians. And we should be rejecting those, deporting them immediately, who harbour views that run contrary to British values. Instead, Jess, British taxpayers, people watching this right now, are paying to put these people up in hotels. It's a damn Disgrace. Have you got what it takes to be a reasoned presenter? Well, send us a short clip of yourself to join@reasoned.uk and we might be seeing you on this very channel very soon indeed.